Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Side, coming to you from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. Today on the program, Benjamin Netanyahu comes to the United States, one of our key, if not the most important of all of our allies, and the behavior or lack of behavior, the visual, non-visual, and the silent protesting from the radical left Communist Socialist Party, formerly known as Democrat, of course, was loud and clear. And the woman who wants to be president decides that a sorority party is more important than attending a joint session of Congress in the hallowed halls in the Capitol building in the United States. All of this, plus my friend John Rich will join us today. The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, everybody. My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Over here, we meet in determined prayer, determined patriotism. That is how we roll. Today on the show, Benjamin Netanyahu, one of my favorite leaders around the world and the leader of our most important ally in the Middle East, if not in the entire world. He comes to town in his trademark, passionate, articulate self, addresses a joint session of Congress. And one of the responsibilities for any leader of any kind here in America, at least, by virtue of tradition and duty and honor and so forth, no matter what party they belong to, one of the key responsibilities for any American member of the elected class is to show up and to respect and give courtesy to our allies, and especially to their leaders when they take the time to come and speak in front of a joint session of Congress. But leave it to the radical left, this Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, who have for decades encouraged its members to spit in the face of tradition and honor and legacy, to not only be disrespectful, but to inject the insult of being a no-show at the events. All because they let politics get in the way of their ability to be cordial. There is no ability on the radical left for them to be cordial. They are, in fact, the direct opposite of that. Rude, vulgar, abhorrent. So Prime Minister Netanyahu outlines in graphic detail the events of October 7th, and it was gruesome. We knew it. We have seen the video clips in the news. We saw it when it was happening in real time. Gruesome, barbaric, and Netanyahu, rightly so, calls this out. He went on to say that if we were to adjust the populations of our two countries, Israel and the United States, that the attack on Israel on that day, on October 7th of 2023, would have equaled 20 9/11 events. That's the proportionate reality of the barbaric attack that happened in Israel. So we, as decent people, as Americans who care about the victims of terror and who want to squelch out and get rid of terror organizations, we we understand where Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli people come from. To think that you wouldn't appear in that hallowed chamber today to offer physical support, if not vocal support, to Benjamin Netanyahu and the people of Israel is astonishing to me. This is where the radical left has come. The founders would have no understanding of any of it. It wouldn't compute with them to not show up. Even if a leader from another nation with whom they disagreed came to speak, they would show up and they would be cordial. They would have discussions, of course, behind closed doors about their differences, but they wouldn't make a spectacle of themselves during the actual event at which the foreign leader and dignitary is speaking. Certainly not in the hallowed halls of Congress. There were many who were not there from the radical left. This won't surprise any of you. We have in our country those members who don't show up. They're silent in their protest. They sit there. They hold up signs. There's Rashid Tlaib, the Democrat from Michigan. Again, this person is a thug. No decorum. Totally shirking her responsibilities to tradition, honor, and integrity in that hallowed chamber. Sitting there with Palestinian garb and so forth. So I want to show you a clip of the address that Netanyahu gave. This is classic Netanyahu. He's poised, he's articulate, he's polite, and yet he's very, very, I think, deliberate in his delivery of the speeches that he gives. Take a look at clip number 1 here.
The anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building, not that many, but they're there, and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. Some of these protesters.
And that's just it. That is so classic Netanyahu there. The protesters who are out there supporting in their own mind, most of them, and I extend, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I extend those protesters grace because many of them are idiots, useful or otherwise, because they've been paid to be there. They've been bussed in and they're given a paycheck to hold a Palestinian flag, put a mask on and protest. So that's part of it. Now, but there are people within our government who support that nonsense. And that's the danger. The useful idiots of Iran's reign of terror, as Benjamin Netanyahu put it. The people, and you know, the useful idiot term is a term that I first learned when I read the book Rules for Radicals. I did it for research for this program a couple of months ago. Saul Alinsky talked a little bit about it yesterday. He uses the term useful idiots. He wants to convert the people of this country, the Democrats, the communist socialists, into being these useful idiots for their platform, to blind them, to disinform them, to misinform them, and so forth with regards to what the truth is. And that's exactly what has happened to the pro-Palestinian movement that you see out there. It's beyond just the differences between the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. It's now about the radical left coming in and purposefully changing the narrative into something that's not true. So these people, Rashid Tlaib and others, AOC, the Squad, all of those people who didn't show up, and I'll get to Kamala in a minute, by virtue of their absence and by their silence, they support the terror that Iran is responsible for. Other images and clips from the day, I think. Reagan, do we have one? Let's go ahead and run that.
Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up!
Okay, so a lot to say about that, and pardon for the language there, but look, you've heard this, you've seen it before. This is what the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, has evolved, or should I say, devolved into. The burning of an American flag in a country that has provided every opportunity. One thing to protest. They have a right to do it. They have a right to do that. They have a right to burn them, but the vulgarity of it can't go without comment. Where have we gone wrong? We have let this persuasive coalition of immorality infiltrate and infest our American educational institutions and our media. And so we turn out, for the last several decades now, people who act and behave as such. I find it absolutely disgusting. I think that most of you do as well. And we have the radical left to be held responsible for this kind of behavior. They have turned decorum, honor, loyalty, good manners, they have turned it all into chaos, disrespect, vulgarity. We even have clips today, as they've done before, of them taking down the American flag. Reagan, let's play that clip.
No! They're gonna burn that. They're gonna burn that. Oh my god.
That's what they're gonna do.
Oh, they're taking it down.
But the
No,
that's them. That's not us.
They're taking the flag down from the flagpole to burn. No.
Maybe that's what they burned the first time.
Now, that is a terrible looking image, but the glimmer of hope in there is that, of course, millions of people, like those young adults who are shooting that video, millions of people around the country see this as abhorrent. They see it as disgusting. They do not agree with the radical left communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, and their thugs out there taking down and destroying the American flag. That's the glimmer of hope. The majority of people in America are with us on this, and they further divide themselves away from us, the radical left, when they do this kind of nonsense. So that's the good. See, always got to look for the hope. They will not succeed in their division. They will not. It absolutely will not stand. Far too many of decent, American-loving people who understand what the flag represents. And the flag, by the way, doesn't represent anything that's perfect by any stretch of imagination, but it stands for the hope of what can be. And it stands for the awakening to the divine providence of God that inspired the founders, for example, to draft our founding documents. This is what common sense, intellectually mature Americans around the country realize. And so all of these radical left-wing kooks who are out there acting out, it all backfires on them. It does every single time. They don't really actually organically win any support. They win support from people like George Soros, who will bus in and pay for people to be there. But there is no organic growth. So that's the good news. Ladies and gentlemen, DougBillings.us, my website. I want you to please consider heading over there. After the show, don't run off right now. After the show, head over to DougBillings.us and consider offering, please, prayerfully, a monthly recurring donation to the show over there. It's how I make a living. It's also how I continue to bring you the program, any amount that you so choose. We give you the show for free. I just ask you to prayerfully consider what you think the truth and good, honest, intellectually mature analysis of the news is. I'll be right back after this break, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older, and it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyongerwithdoug.us. liveyongerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyongerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
Doug Billings, driving the left crazy with the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. That's right, the truth. It drives liberals crazy. I'm going to keep on dispensing the truth to you here. Today, Benjamin Netanyahu gave a speech to a joint session of Congress. I'm worked up about it because the radical left liberal movement in this country has turned into this group of thugs and have lost all common decency with regards to how we treat guests, foreign leaders. And it has not been, look, I'm a baby boomer. I'm on the back end of the baby boomer generation. When I was growing up, we never saw this kind of behavior. It was always from both sides of the aisle, shaking hands, getting along, disagreements, of course, in debate and conversation. But events like this, where we're inviting in the most important ally, arguably speaking, that the United States has in the world, and we have people in the elected class who choose to either not show up as a form of protest or to sit there and silently protest in that hallowed chamber by virtue of what they wear, the ridiculous pins and so forth, and other attire that they wear, or holding up signs, for example. And case in point, Rashida Tlaib, the Democrat from Michigan, holding up a sign, war criminal, she just sits there. She's got the Palestinian garb on, all of that. She represents a huge membership of thugs within that sacred chamber. She has desecrated that hallowed chamber. She's done it not just today, she's done it continually throughout her term in Congress. Her actions are beyond despicable. They are filthy. And I, for one, am sick of it. There's a time and a place to have discussions about differences that she has with Benjamin Netanyahu, his policies, and so forth. That time and place is not during an address by Benjamin Netanyahu to a joint session of Congress. And again, over the last several decades, we've seen this de-evolution, this sinking into the bowels of the swamp by this commune socialist formerly known as Democrat Party. They've all abandoned all recognized forms of good manners and decorum, and they have descended into the level of thuggery. They're vulgar, they're bad-mannered, and that's just saying the least. And these are the people, these members of the elected class that support Iran's reign of terror. They don't publicly condemn it. They don't publicly condemn what Palestine and the terrorists did on October 7th. They come out, they protest from the river to the sea. They don't even know what river or sea they're talking about. And Prime Minister Netanyahu calls them out for it, honestly so and rightfully so, saying that they who support those terrorists are the useful idiots of the Iranian regime. Useful idiots. And he's actually perfectly and 100% spot on about that. Kamala Harris, the woman who would aspire to be the nominee for President of the United States. And that's not a foregone conclusion yet, my friends. There's a big happy dance going on over there on the left, but there's a long way between now and Kamala Harris actually becoming the nominee of that party for president. So let them have their 15 minutes of gloating and, happy dance over there. There's a long way to go between now and their convention in August to see who actually becomes the nominee. After all, the one person who actually has the most say of it all, Barack Obama, as you know, has not endorsed her. So we'll see where that goes. But Kamala Harris today, representing the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, with her absence today from those hallowed chambers of Congress, speaks volumes about what she would bring to an administration that she's in charge of. She reveals her disdain for our most important ally, and by so doing that, fails an important litmus test of leadership within this country. That hallowed chamber where both houses of Congress have gathered for historical moments, such as the one that happened today, was defiled by Kamala Harris. It was defiled by that Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. It was defiled by those who hold absolutely no reverence for what that chamber represents, nor for the republic for which that chamber stands. There was one party today who, by virtue of their actions and their non-actions, did all of this. By their voices and by their silence, to disparage, to insult, and desecrate that hallowed chamber by virtue of how they treat one of our guests, one of our most important allies. It's filthy, it's outrageous, and they have absolutely abandoned any semblance of decorum within our government. And again, ladies and gentlemen, in the elected class in the United States of America, I'm telling you, there are no more Democrats. The Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy, are you kidding me? It's long gone. My gosh, the Democrat Party of Bill Clinton doesn't even exist anymore. They have blended communism and socialism together. They are the Communist Socialist Party, and they are not, by virtue of their actions and deeds and their silence, they are not a pro-America political party. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. I am absolutely enraged by what they did today. This goes beyond the pale of how what the founders would have never imagined in a million years this kind of behavior in the chambers within the mechanisms and rules and rubrics that they put together. They would never have imagined this happening. Leave it to the radical left to deteriorate not only the American society in which we live, but the American Republic for which we all honor. All right, my friends, listen, I have a good friend of mine standing by, ready to come on, John Rich, and I want to open up the phone lines just in case there's any of you who want to have a conversation with John. 901-316-8404. Segueing out of my and off of my soapbox about Vice Pretender Harris and the Communist Socialist Party. Now we're going to have a good time. Take a deep breath. We're going to enjoy a little bit of John's latest music and much more. Let me see if we can queue up, actually. Reagan, why don't we just go right on ahead and let's hear a little bit of I'm Offended by my friend John Rich. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out.
Warning, some people may find the following video to be offensive. Viewer discretion advised.
It seems like these days, no matter what you say, someone's losing their ever-loving mind. It's like they're looking for a reason to have their fragile feelings hurt every single time. My country truck, I gas it up. You got your fancy Tesla hooked up to a plug. I know you're mad, you think I'm bad, 'cause I'm breathing free at last and you're still stuck behind your mask, and I'm offended. You're offended. just a minute. You can't amend the First Amendment. You're offended, I defend it all the time. So let's take another sip. Don't hold back and let it rip, 'cause in the end you'll be left and I'll be right. And I'm offended, you're offended. Let's all get offended tonight. I'll order us a beer. We can sit down right here and scream and yell and cuss and fuss and fight. Oh yeah! Yeah, I like to shoot my 22. Somehow it seems to always trigger you. I pray to God, you think that's odd, 'cause you say he don't exist, so why are you so pissed?
There he is. Now we've got it. We've got his latest song. We're going to have Revelation on there for you too. I just love that song, and I love John Rich. I love what he stands for. Love what he does, and it's been too long since he's been on the program. John, my friend, welcome back to the right side.
Thanks, Doug. Good to see you again. Been too long.
Hey, man, way too long. And we're going to have Revelation. We're going to play that when we wrap up here. We're going to play that in its entirety for the audience. I think that's it's good and it's relevant. It's where we're at. Did you get a chance to? By the way, were you? Did you see anything with Netanyahu today or the protests and whatnot that's been going on?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with it. I saw. He made a lot of comments that hit big. But then outside of there, you see them. They tore down the American flag, raised up a Palestinian flag. They're attacking all the cops right now that are trying to break it up. I think even as like 10 minutes ago, I was watching a video they had just shot with the protesters swarming on this cop and just beating the tar out of this guy. So, hey, that's what the left wanted, and they got it. And listen, it's just July. I know it seems like time goes by fast, and sometimes it does, but this year, it feels like to me it's just crawling along because so many things have happened since January 1 of this year. It's unbelievable. It makes you wonder what's it going to look like here come about November 5.
This is the summer. It's the summertime. What they do when things don't go their way, when people visit who they disagree with, it's arson, anarchy, and rioting, looting. They deliver these box. They have it all set up, John. I'm convinced of it. I think these people. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the stark contrast is they just tried to assassinate our guy, and I didn't see one town catch on fire. I didn't see one malicious act perpetrated by any conservative, any Republican, any Donald Trump supporter anywhere in the United States. Because if somebody would have done something, that would have been front page news everywhere. Nobody did anything, and they tried to put a bullet through his head. And so the other side, something doesn't go their way, way less than an assassination attempt, and they tear the country apart. So it is I'm really proud of the conservatives right now in our country, because I can tell you how I felt when I saw a bullet almost hit him right between the eyes. And it did make us angry, scared everybody to death. But even with those really powerful feelings everybody was having, nobody did anything illegal. Nobody went after anybody. So it is a stark contrast today. I mean, they're doing this because somebody's giving a speech. They're gonna tear Washington, D.C. down to the ground over a speech. So I just want to make that point. I know you probably made that many times, but it is a stark contrast.
You know what else I noticed, John? You're absolutely right. And we've talked about that. And we talk and we look about responses that the right side gives, that the conservative movement gives. You know what else we did was we prayed. I know a lot of people who got down on their knees and prayed for the country when they saw President Trump almost get killed. I know a lot of people that physically went to their church to pray with groups of friends. It's such a difference. I have referred, to this, I call them the Commune Socialist Party. I don't think there's anything resembling what a real Democrat used to be in that elected class. I think they've combined communism, socialism together. I don't believe that they're a pro-American political party. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. Look what they do and look what they've done. Since the first day Administrator Biden was given the keys to the White House, It's been purposeful chaos thrust down upon this country. And that's why, and a little bit of a segue into your song Revelation, but I see so many things going on. So many things that are waking. And of course, there's good news. I mean, I do think that people are waking up. I think the divine providence of God is stirring. And I've said many times publicly in the speeches that I give, I think that we're on the cusp of seeing something really incredible with that, even more so than the time of the founding fathers, as far as the divine providence of God is concerned.
Yeah, that's true. I will tell you, though, there's a really well-quoted verse that you will know well, and a lot of your viewers will too, in 2 Chronicles, where it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, I will come and heal their land. You know that verse?
Yes, I do, sir. Yep, absolutely so.
Okay. So where people get that verse wrong is it says, if my people will turn around, if my people will repent, if my people, he's not talking about the devil's people, he's talking about his kids, his people. And I think Christians have been standing on the sidelines and sometimes even hiding in the basement as the world burns, as we see this tidal wave of blasphemy come rolling across our country now for a very long time, and nobody's willing to stand up to it because they don't want to get called a bad name or whatever their reason is. There is no good reason. And if you look at what the book says about it, he's telling us that we got to turn around. We got to stand up and not let this stuff happen. We're the ones that have to call it out. So I'm glad to hear that people are starting to wake up. It's unfortunate that it requires pain and fear to motivate people to a place where they go, oh, maybe I'll pull Jesus out of the trunk now and I'll let him ride up in the front seat with me. How about give him the steering wheel and just let him drive? You know, how about you get in the back seat and just let him drive? I think our country's headed there at some point, but I think between now and then, Doug, there's going to be so many things that unfold in this country that are going to be so hard to take, so hard to live through, that you hear about the great revival that's supposed to happen at some point. I think a great revival comes on the heels of great persecution and difficult times. And I think that's what we're looking ahead, at least in my opinion. It seems to be trending that way, as they would say in the news world, right?
Yes, right. And, it's ironic because, ladies and gentlemen, John and I, although friends, I called up John the other day and asked him to come on the show. We never talk about, do we, John? We never talk about what we're going to talk about. We just say, hey, want to come on the show? Sure, I'll come on the show. And so here we are. And so it's ironic that you just said that, because just the other day I was commenting about how conservatives, Christian people in the world, often during times of adversity, challenge, and tragedy, we understand, because of our faith, that there are blessings waiting to be born in the midst of all of that. The liberals can't wrap their heads around that. Again, to your point earlier, when things don't go their way, they have pallets of rocks and bricks delivered to street corners so that they can riot, right? But we see the blessings, or at least we may not see them, but we know that they're there. We know that in the times of adversity, challenge, and tragedy, blessings are there waiting to be born. That's how we're wired.
Yeah, it is how we're wired. Listen, I know you're going to get into this song Revelation, but if I could step into that for a minute, that is the reason I believe that song was thrust upon me when it was, and that's exactly how it happened. I did an interview with Tucker Carlson a couple of weeks ago, and once people get through watching Doug Billings, go watch that Tucker Carlson interview I did. It was an hour and a half long, and we talked about this song Revelation. I said, yeah, I did not set out to go, you know what, somebody really ought to write a song about the book of Revelation. I mean, that's not exactly the most lighthearted book of the Bible. I mean, it's talking about the end times, but it's also talking about Jesus coming back, which is the greatest thing that will ever happen, other than him coming the first time, right? He's only come twice when he comes back the second time. And Tucker's mind was blown just about the conversation and how relevant that is. The words on the pages of the Bible, if you read them now, with what we see going on, seem to explode off those pages. They seem to come running straight at you. Whereas before, you're reading them and you're just kind of moving along, and now it's just bam, bam, bam. There it is, because we can see it now in the physical. We can see this evil stuff manifesting itself. So if evil is going to manifest, righteousness needs to manifest as well.
How do we do that, John? How does the right side? How do we manifest that? Is it a combination of things? Is it about moral and good American people getting together and activating in their local levels of government? I've said for so long that forget Washington D.C. is if we want to affect change, it never starts there. We've got to get involved at our local levels. Is that part of what you're talking about? How to reignite this belief and help keep alive and bring back this, as the founders referred to, the divine providence of God? Is that part of it?
Well, I think it's part of it. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely done that here in Tennessee. I mean, where I found really bad people on the Republican side, holding very prominent places in office. And we go out and try to find good guys to take these very rich bad guys on. And if we can't knock them out, at least we knocked a few chunks out of them, and everybody now knows who they are and what they stand for. But yeah, you got to do it on that level. But I'm saying that Christians who have kept their mouths shut as all this has been playing out in front of us, that is not acceptable anymore. And if you go look at the people that wrote the Bible and you look at the Son of God himself, I mean, Jesus got murdered for exercising his freedom of speech. He didn't get murdered for something that he did. He didn't commit a crime. He didn't hurt somebody. He was performing miracles, and he was calling out the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He was calling out the religious elite. And, they murdered him for that. So you can't expect you're going to have an easy road up ahead if you stand up and say what you know to be true and you say it loudly. But that's not the reason to not stand up. I mean, in the scripture, I know you're well versed in it. It says, rejoice when you're persecuted for bearing my name. That was Jesus talking. Like, be really happy when they come after you. So I would say this to any Christian watching: if you don't have a lot of hate coming your way every single day, you're disappointing your daddy. You're disappointing the boss. You're disappointing Jesus Christ. You should have, evil people should hate everything about you. They should know exactly where you stand, and they should absolutely hate everything you say. That is proof positive that you're having impact. Now that's a tough attitude for people to adopt, because people don't like that. People don't like to be uncomfortable like that, or called bad names, or be attacked and persecuted. But that's what we're told to do. So if you're an actual real Christian, you need to stand up and be heard. And honestly, that'll have more impact than any government job you could ever land.
I did not come to sow peace, but yet to bring a sword, as he said. Yes.
That's right.
Let's tee up the song Revelation. I'm going to let you tee it up. I would like, if you would allow me, I would love to play it for the audience, but I'd like you to tee it up. How did it come about? You talked a little bit about it.
Yeah. Well, so the passage in Ephesians that says we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this earth. That's very, very famous, well-quoted passage. And I think that I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. We all are getting so tied up in the physical realm of what's going on, which we have to, because it's here. I mean, we're alive right now. But we forget that the real battle, the real war, is not left and right. It's not culture war. None of those things. It's actually going on just outside of where we can see it. They call it the spiritual warfare, which is what that verse is talking about. So Revelation, this video, the lyrics of the song, I'm not aware of any song like this that's ever been released to the general public. And I say this, said it before, I'll say this again because it is so true. If I was still part of the music industry, and if I had a big record label, let's say Warner Brothers Records, where I was for a long time, this song would never have been heard. I could have turned it in just like you're about to play. They would have never played it, never showed it to anybody. Probably would have lost my record deal over it. So I'm glad that I'm independent. I'm glad that I was kind of forcefully moved away from that industry, because I think songs like this have got to be heard. Last week, this song wound up the number one most downloaded song in country, and number two of all platforms, of all genres around the world, which is pretty startling for a song called Revelation. You know what I mean? It's a heavy subject, but it tells you where the general population's mindset is right now. They're scared to death. They can feel something's going to happen. Something don't seem right. The air doesn't feel right to them, and they just don't know exactly what it is that they're looking at. And I think this video goes a long way to explain what's actually going on. It is good versus evil. And this is the song, Revelation.
Logan, let's play the song for the audience. We'll here it comes.
Dancing in the flames, the people cursed his name, bowed at the altar of the father of lies. But there's a number to their days and all their evil ways. The Lord's gonna turn away from all their cries. Oh, revelation, I can feel it coming like a dark train running. Oh, get ready, 'cause the King is coming. The King is coming back again. Brimstone upon their heads, millstones around their necks. They'll feel the shaking when the trumpet sounds. And no matter where they hide, there'll be nowhere to run when Jesus puts his mighty foot on the ground. Oh, revelation, I can feel it coming like a dark train running. Lightning flash, their voice will wail and their teeth will gnash. And he'll set fire to the evil ones and all the wickedness they've done. There'll be no time to turn around as the stars begin to hit the ground and the mountains fall and the veil is torn with the sounding of that seventh horn. Oh, revelation, I can feel it coming like a dark train running. Before his days were done, the King is coming, and it won't be long.
That's about the coolest thing I've seen all week long, John. That is, cheers to you. Congratulations. It has a great sound to it, great message, obviously. I like the sound in that thing, man. Very well done.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It came to me in about 60 minutes. It was completely written. Some really talented people. That's Nick Searcy playing the devil there, which he's one of the nicest guys you ever met. But he plays a good devil. Hollywood Yates is playing Michael the Archangel, and they're battling it out. Listen, if you like what you saw there, folks, go out and just forward that to people. Just send them the video. You don't have to download it. Just send them the link to the video that you find. People are discovering this song all over the world right now. It's up over 12 million views across all the various platforms. So thank you, Doug, for putting a little spotlight on it as well.
John, anytime, my friend. Look, we're in this together. I love you. We're, like I said, we're in this together. And you know, the thing about it is, John, you've done this before. independent, a lot of hits. You have a lot of history in the music business. People know you from various different avenues, different groups, different songs. But you have done this before, man. You have gone to number one a few times, many times as an independent, and here you are again. So congratulations.
Well, I appreciate that. This particular song, there was no target in my mind of we need to hit number one or anything. Honestly, I just knew it had to get shoved out there. It's like you just saw it. Your viewers just saw it. Have you ever seen anything like that brought forward before, ever, in any genre of music? I hadn't seen it. And so it's an important piece of work, probably the most important song I've ever written. That's what I would say. When I posted it on my X account, I said, this is Revelation. It's the most important song I've ever written. I said, I hope it brings courage to the saved, conviction to the lost, and absolute fear to the truly wicked. And that was the whole post. Next thing you know, this thing is just going crazy.
Amen. Well, I'll say this. I'll make this observation, John. So many times there are, there are Christian pieces of media that are put out there, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a movie, song, a video, whatever. They're so, and I'm just going to say it, they're just not produced well. I mean, they just don't look and feel right and good. They don't hook you in. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's the first time I've seen this video all the way through. I'm just being brutally honest with you. That's an incredible piece of work. So your production crew, whoever put all that together, phenomenal job. It's tier 1, brother.
Yep. I agree. They absolutely nailed it. Those guys came out and brought everything they had. It looks like a miniature movie. How cool would it be someday to have a movie called Revelation and play that whole thing? It'd be the greatest. It'd be the most highly impacted movie of all time. It'd be the biggest thriller you could possibly ever go see. And who knows, man? You never know, man. You never know.
I love it. Well, if that script ever gets written and there's a part that involves a baby boomer podcaster, let me know. I'd be happy to be part of that.
You got it, man.
Listen, John, where can people find you? You got a tour coming up? Anything else? Where can people go get more information, including the song?
Yeah, we've been on tour since about May. That's bigandrich.com. It's got our dates down. This song is wherever you get your music. It's iTunes, Amazon Music, all the regular places. The video, it's on YouTube and Rumble. If you just go to either one of those platforms, type in John Rich Revelation, boom, you'll find it. You can follow me on X at John Rich and on True Social at John Rich. I'm pretty active on both of those. So give me a follow and I'll keep you entertained.
John Rich, ladies and gentlemen. John, listen, thanks for your friendship. You're my brother. I appreciate you very much for making time to be with me today. As always, I thank you.
Anytime. It's always a pleasure to see you, brother. Keep up the good work. God bless.
All right. You too, John. God bless you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, John Rich with us today. Thanks. What a treat that was. And thanks for him making time, for sharing the music that he creates with us. We got to take a break. Obviously, I'll be right back after these messages to wrap up with you. Don't go away. Come on back. Cheers.
I'm Brandon House, and this is your Worldview Tube news break brought to you by WorldviewTalk.com. It's being reported by Bloomberg this morning that one of the largest IT service providers to the U.S. military-industrial complex has been hacked. The company is Leidos Holdings, known for its extensive work with the Pentagon, as well as Homeland Security, NASA, and various defense contractors. It was the largest federal IT contractor in 2022, with contracts totaling $4 billion. Hackers, well, they stole and they leaked internal documents, raising concerns about the security of sensitive government data managed by other third-party contractors. Cybersecurity News reports that the leaked documents are believed to have been stolen as part of 2 breaches of Diligent 2022, a platform Leidos used. The news outlet writes, quote, "The nature and sensitivity of the stolen documents remain unclear, but the leak underscores vulnerabilities in the cyber framework of companies holding critical government information," end quote. This has been your Worldview Tube news break brought to you by WorldviewTalk.com. Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism.
Everybody, welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks very much. Wasn't that awesome of John Rich to stop by? I appreciate his friendship, and we've just been so blessed on the road here during the beginning of this program 4 years ago to have been able to meet so many incredible people. Also, just as a reminder before I wrap up, I want to finish some comments about what happened today in Washington, D.C., but also to remind you that DougBillings.us is my website, and I have over there a shop. I have some merchandise. I have a portal by which you can prayerfully consider donating on a monthly basis, a monthly recurring donation to help me continue to bring you this program. The show I never charge you for. I'm never going to charge you to watch this program. So I just ask you to please consider, how much do you think this is worth? How much is the truth worth? How much is intellectually mature analysis and honest analysis about what's going on in America worth to you? So DougBillings.us, I would hope that you go over there, and I ask you to prayerfully consider doing that. So, okay, to wrap up in the few moments that I have left with you today, ladies and gentlemen, Washington, D.C. today, we talked about it at the beginning of the program. No need to go back into a deep dive of all of that. But this radical left movement, this, as I call them, the Commune Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, this coalition of immorality that they represent, we have got to, and I know that we are, in a great degree and by many numbers, getting activated and involved in our local levels of government. This is the way out. We have seen this last few weeks another crack in our conservative movement that concerns me to a degree. And that's this element within the conservative movement, especially among podcasters and people who would claim to be journalists, who put out absolute nonsense about what's going on in the state of play in America. I call it clickbait. You all have heard that term before. Some people on social media platforms who have vast and huge followings, they can make a living based on how many clicks they get. Now, I do not make a living that way. I do not get money from clicks. I ask you, I'm basically funded by the good hearts and the good minds and the good intentions of the people out there. So that's why I ask you to stop by DougBillings.us. I do not get paid to put a post on X or Facebook or Truth Social or YouTube or whatever. I want the truth to be out there. I want to tell the truth, and I want to look. This show, I am not an investigative journalist. I'm a commentator. I give my opinion and my analysis about news of the day and the state of play in America. We see so often today, especially these last few weeks, people on the right, on the conservative side, who just throw out outrageous stuff. In the last few days, it's been about Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden has suffered a medical emergency. He's had a stroke. He's in hospice care. He's not going to make it through the night. We've got to get it. That's clickbait, because first of all, none of that is true. And they're hoping it's so outrageous and it's so sensationalized that they want you to click on it, because the more impressions that they get and so forth on social media, the more money they make. And they lose, I think, integrity. It's not journalism. It's okay to ask the question, for example, where's Joe Biden? I haven't seen him in a few days. Or I wonder if Joe Biden's alive. I mean, gosh, he got COVID. Is he sick? We haven't seen him in 6 days. Those are legitimate questions. But then to say and put out information that's not backed up by any kind of official documentation or records and so forth is a mistake, I think. And too many people follow this nonsense. I spoke a little bit about this yesterday, but we remember a whole long list of things that were put out. in 2020 and all the way through today, right? Joe Biden is recently freshly in the news because he stepped down, and a lot of wild speculation. It's like a million people then possessed by the spirit of Jerry Springer bringing forth ridiculousness, and it's accepted as part of the mainstream. It's very dangerous. It can't be, you have to resist it. President Trump is still in charge. That was a beauty back in the day, early 2020. The military's running the country, right? The theory of devolution, the theory that President Trump enacted executive orders when he was president that would somehow usher him back into the office before the election of 2024. All of this nonsense. It's kookville, and it's made a lot of people rich because people click on it and they want to see it. So I just ask you, look, you'll never see that over here. I'm not going to mention anybody, but I've mentioned some of the genres about what has been put forth. I'm not going to call out anybody by name. You all are intellectually mature enough to understand and discern who's the good and who's the bad. But we have got to stay away from the nonsense. Stay out of kookville, as I say, and deal with what we have and what we know in reality. And talk about that. Don't disavow yourself from honesty and integrity. And try to discern what's right and what's wrong out there. It has been just one of our Achilles heels. The Q movement, hey, look, it says that there's a Q drop. Several years ago, Q posted that Biden is going to eat a ham sandwich on July 10th. Oh, look, it's July 10th and Biden's eating a ham sandwich. That's the essence of what the 17th letter of the alphabet movement is all about. It's fooled millions of people, and people listening to this will be angry, but it's the truth. Oh, no, he's infringing on the way that I make a living. I got to have something about that letter of the alphabet in whatever I post. Or I've got to say something outrageous about Biden so that people will click and that they'll follow. I will always protect you from the nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. I will never put forth things that I deem to be, and I will call out nonsense when I see it. The good news is I know that the vast majority of you already know this and that you discern who you follow and who you don't. If you like me, if you like the program, if you like what you're hearing, I'm on various platforms. WorldviewTube.com. Thanks to all the good people over there. Logan, Reagan, the producers of the show, thank you very much. Spreely TV, thank you very much. I'm on X. If you're watching live on X every Monday through Friday, please follow me. Click like and share the program, please. YouTube, I encourage all of you. Head over to YouTube at Real Doug Billings over there. Trying to rebuild that over there. You can find me on all sorts of wherever audio podcasts are. If you like to listen rather than watch the program, I'm on almost every audio podcast. I'll see you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
All right, this is Code Blue with Dr. John and Brooke Witcher, and we are coming here today. We're going to have a guest on with us, Dr. Robert Corcoran, and he is a Mississippi doctor that treated thousands of COVID patients in the Delta in Mississippi. These patients had a lot of comorbidities, and he did very, very well treating these patients with protocols that everybody have probably familiar with. But we're going to let him give the details. But, he was silenced, censored, and really him and his team were able to find ways around the government programs and really treat these patients and keep them out of the hospitals and did a remarkable job. And so we're going to have him with us in just a moment. And you have anything to add, Brooke?
Well, that was it. And I was so honored to get to meet him as he testified with us in February of 23 at the Capitol in Jackson, Mississippi, with the other physicians. And it was very encouraging and uplifting to see doctors that honored their oath during this time of crisis, when so many stood by and did exactly what the government said that they had to do, and they abandoned their principle of taking care of their patients first. It was wonderful to see the rare exceptions that actually put their patients first and saved countless lives. And I'm so grateful for his courage and strength in that time.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's see if we can bring Dr. Robert Corcoran on.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Corcoran. Would you like just to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about you and your town and how you got started in the treatment of COVID patients?
Sure. Well, I got started because nobody really wanted anything to do with it. That sort of happens. So I live in Greenville, Mississippi. We are a demographically underserved area, fairly challenging socioeconomic situation here. Good bit of unemployment. It's very difficult for the average person, the average citizen in our town to get, many times even routine care. So this pandemic struck, and of course, many of our patients are pretty much have all comorbidities you could think of: heart failure, hypertension, diabetes, lots of obesity, all the things that made COVID worse. They by and large had those, and when it hit here, it hit, as it did many places, very suddenly and intensely, and there were suddenly many patients with problems. We began treating it, and with the help of Dr. Hayek, who was very key, he and I really worked together as a team. But we decided we had to figure out some way we thought, at least in theory, would actually treat the pneumonia. So, COVID has 3 phases, and I think it would be helpful for your audience to understand we knew nothing to begin with. There was an autopsy series with 4 patients out of New Orleans, and that's where we started trying to understand